Hey everyone, I'm Zahra. I'm a nutritionist, I'm a life coach, I'm a health coach, and today I'm going to be sharing with you my story of why I didn't get any periods for 4 years. Now, female cycles are something that is clearly not very well understood, in my opinion. And I'm saying this because it took me so many years to find out the root cause of my hormonal imbalances. But this story goes back to in my early 20s. When I was in my early 20s, I was told that I need to be on a contraceptive by my GPs. And this wasn't something that was given to me as an option. It was just told to me like, this is the step you need to take now, and that's what you need to do. Now, not knowing about female health, hormonal health, and not knowing about how exogenous hormones affect the female fertility and the female cycles, I said, okay. They started me off with the pill. And if you're familiar with the pill, it's basically something that you take during your cycle, and when you stop taking it, you get your period, but then during that time, you're still taking the sugar pill so you can keep in the habit of taking the pill. And so what these pills do is they release hormones in your body, but the way they do it is so that you cannot get pregnant, basically. And unfortunately, the effects that I got from these pills were extremely negative. I got really bad headaches. I just felt slow and low all the time. And so I went to my doctor and I said, this isn't working for me. I need something else. So then they decided to put me on the injection, this is the injection you take every 3 months. That one didn't work for me either. And I just didn't react well to it at all. And so I went to my doctor and asked, well, this depot thing is not working for me. I need something else. And so they said, okay, well, we can put a bar in your arm and that will slowly release hormones into your body. And I was like, okay, I guess I don't have to worry about constant pill taking and constant injections. I can just have it in there and it'll stay for a couple of years and it's fine. Well, that resulted in the worst mood swings that I've ever experienced in my life. I felt super low to the point where I didn't even value my own life anymore. And I started pushing away everyone in my life because I became so irritable and so angry that I couldn't stand to even have a conversation or relationship with anyone. And so I went to my doctor again and I said, you know what, this isn't working for me. And so finally, they said, okay, well, we have this other option for you. And it's called an intrauterine device. It's an IUD. And you know, it actually releases much less amounts of hormones because it goes straight inside your uterus and it releases the hormones into your uterus, straight into your bloodstream that way. And so you don't have to go through the whole entire system. And so the dosage of the hormones won't be so high. And so you'll have really low amount of hormones and it'll still have the beneficial effect of being a contraceptive. And they told me you can stay in there for up to 5 years. And I was like, great. So for 5 years, I don't have to worry about anything like that. Great. Let's just go ahead and do it. And I can tell you the insertion process was extremely painful. One of the side effects that was told to me very briefly was that I might start having really light periods. But instead what happened to me is I stopped getting my periods altogether. For 4 years, I didn't get any periods. And this messed with my mind so much. And today I want to share with you the reason why I think that women need to be in touch with their natural cycle and why it's so important. When I didn't get any periods for 4 years, I didn't know what was going on with me. Was my sexual health good? Was my reproductive health good? Did it need anything? Was I doing all the right things? Was I not doing all the right things? And I never got to build that intimate relationship with my body, the ups and downs, the ebbs and flow of each cycle. If you're a woman watching or you have a woman close to you in your life, you know that women are cyclical creatures. I think we're all cyclical creatures, but women have a specific 28-day cycle that takes them through many different hormones and many different levels of hormones. And if that's something that you're interested in, I have made a video about the luteal phase specifically that you can check out in the description below. Now, luteal phase is just one of the many phases of the cycle, and a lot of the times people only really care about the luteal phase because that's the time women are most irritable. But trust me, when I was not going through the cyclical nature of how a woman is supposed to feel, I felt confused, I felt lost, I felt disconnected from my own health. I didn't know if I was doing the right thing or the wrong thing, and I pretty much stopped caring about it even. And that was so disheartening for me. This whole experience in my early 20s, it made me feel so discarded. It made me feel like I'm not even human anymore. Because think about it. As women, before we go through menopause, during our fertile years, we have these cycles, and they're so essential not only for our sexual health and our reproductive health, but for our mood, for our brain health, for our focus and memory, and our excitement and our sociability. When we're in the earlier phase of our cycle, such as the follicular phase, when the estrogen is slowly rising, our excitement rises, we start feeling more sociable, we start feeling more curious, we have more stamina, we're less resistant to stress, we have more endurance. And so this is where they recommend you do your big projects, you have your hard conversations, you start new things, because you'll have the energy to do it. You do your hard workouts, you can do it this time. Your pain threshold isn't that high. I'm not talking about the earlier phase of follicular phase, by the way, which is the menstrual phase. That part, take your rest, ladies, because trust me, I've tried overdoing in the menstrual phase and you can feel it for the rest of the cycle. I mean the follicular phase after the menstrual phase, between your ovulation and your menstruation. That part. And that part, I was disconnected from all those years that I never got a period. And then your ovulation time, that's the time women are most excited. It's like the peak of our cycle. A lot of hormones are peaking at this time. And the body goes through some physiological changes too. But that is something I got disconnected from when I wasn't getting my periods. And then after the ovulation phase, we end up in the luteal phase, which is about the last 14 days of your cycle. This is a time that's all about recovery, rest, recharge, reevaluate, and it's the time when you can go inwards. These are the natural cycles of a woman. You prepare for the shedding of the lining in your next cycle. There's certain fasting protocols as well, for example, that women can do during their cycle. There's also cycle syncing, in which you can design your entire schedule and your lifestyle based around your cycle. And these are all the things that I missed out on when I wasn't getting any periods. I wasn't having a cycle. And so if you're a woman right now who's going through something like this, maybe you're on a contraceptive, or maybe you're someone who's suffering from PCOS, which causes abnormal cycles, such as too long or too little, and ovulation, as well as ovarian cysts. If that's something that you're going through, I feel you. I have also been diagnosed with PCOS, and it took me a very, very, very long time to get diagnosed with this because I didn't have the regular symptoms that women generally come with. My gynecologist, after diagnosing me, looked at me and said, "I can't believe you have PCOS, you're not overweight. You don't have ovarian cysts." Yet I still have PCOS, because PCOS is really just a collection of symptoms. And there's a whole bunch of symptoms, and you only need to meet a certain amount of those symptoms to be diagnosed with PCOS. For years, I tried to get diagnosed. I got the scans on my ovaries. They never showed any ovarian cysts, and I could not figure out the root cause of why I had abnormal periods. I was having massive hair loss. I was having hair growing in places that it probably shouldn't be growing for a woman. And I blamed it on my own self. I blamed that it's probably my diet. I blamed it on my race, that maybe it's just my culture. We have more hair over here. But no, it was the excessive androgens. Something that also never got picked up in the blood tests. So this is my personal story, and if this story resonated with you, I encourage you, don't just go to your GP, go to your gynecologist. They are more specialized in dealing with these kinds of things, and find out the root cause of why you're experiencing these kinds of symptoms. Because for a woman, a cycle is so important. A cycle is what allows you to get so in touch with the regular ebbs and flows of your hormones that are completely normal. And so you learn to manage them better and manage your state better in each cycle. That is the growth that I missed out on when I didn't get any periods for 4 years. Personally, I'm not a gynecologist, but I would never recommend anybody get an IUD. In fact, I would say that the best contraception method is literally to abstain. But I'm a bit traditionalist in that way, and that's just my own personal opinion. The thing is, there's a lot of things as a woman that we're designed to go through. Our bodies are designed for this when they're in a healthy state. And it serves us to make sure that we are healthy. And I'll tell you this, when I finally got the IUD removed, and the reason why I got it removed was because I was sick of not being in touch with my own body anymore. I was sick of not knowing and being in the dark about how is my sexual health, how is my reproductive health. I was completely in the dark about this. And so I decided I want to figure out how my health is actually going, and I'm going to get this removed. And trust me, my periods did not return straight away. It took about 3 months for my cycle to start normalizing again before I even got another period. Now I'm in my early 30s and I'm battling my own experience with PCOS that I got diagnosed with last year. And so if you're a woman who's suffering with PCOS, keep following my channel, because I'll be sharing my own stories of how I manage it and how I'm finding my balance in this whole experience of being a woman. If you have any questions about female sexual health or female reproductive health, I'd love to see them in the comments below. If I get enough, I might even make another video about those questions. So let me know below, because I have gone through this journey myself. And I've learned so much, and I am ready to share everything, not just from the point of a nutritionist or a life coach, but also from the point of someone who's personally experienced irregular cycle, heavy bleeding, painful cycles, cramps to the point where I was just in pain on the floor, crying, not being able to do anything about it, headaches, migraines, all this kind of stuff. I have managed to keep them at bay using nutritional protocols and also lifestyle changes. So if you're interested in more in that, follow my channel, subscribe, leave a comment, share it with someone else who you think might find this interesting. And until next time, stay well. Bye.